Serta. Groff. Manny. Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Rindfleisch.
Excused.
Sagali. Steffen. Van Akkeren. Vanderweel. Wangeman. And Warner. 14 present.
Quorum is present. Alderman Warner.
I thank Your Honor. I move the minutes of the last common council meeting be approved and that the same stand is entered on the record.
Second.
Moved to second at the minutes of the previous council meeting stand approved. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Pledge allegiance, Alderman Berg, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. We have one hearing this evening, and anyone wishing to be heard at that hearing, please step up to the microphone, give us your name, address. It's a proposed assessment for the water main extensions in North 6th Street from 750 feet to 1,120 feet north of Pershing Avenue. And any interested parties wishing to be heard? Any interested parties wishing to be heard? Alderman Groff.
Chair, now move that the hearing be closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the hearing be closed. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have one notice tonight, and that's the, please take notice that Alderperson Montemayor and Alderperson Perez will be submitting a motion to rescind Resolution 590405 passed on August 2nd, 2004 during the regular Common Council meeting of August 16, 2004. Mayor's appointment, Steve? Public? No. Oh, excuse me.
So stated, today's date, hereby submit the following appointment for your consideration. Joseph Clark to be considered for appointment to the Architectural Review Board to fill the unexpired term of Richard Wandine, whose term expires 4/30/06, signed by the mayor.
And that can lie over. Public forum.
Susanhundley. Susan? Oh. Susan, can you give me your name again and your home address, please?
Sure. Susanhundley, 632 Michigan Avenue, Sheboygan.
And you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, you bet.
To begin with, I just wanted to share some comments from PGA guests that I had from around the country this week. I thought it might be of interest to the council. Everybody said Sheboygan is such a clean, safe, and beautiful community, which we all know. They also commented on how friendly and helpful the people were that helped them in restaurants, stores, gas stations. I guess in big cities, not everybody smiles and asks you how your day is going. So they really appreciated that. And they all agreed that they would be back to our community in the future because of the wonderful experiences they had. So I think we will see the benefits of this. I did also want to share a few comments about NAD, Neighbors Against Drugs. I had my first experience with this. I talked to Officer Preby about 3 weeks ago on a Saturday about suspected drug activity in our neighborhood at a rental property. I was surprised at what happened. On the following Tuesday, he called me from his office. He had the landlord in the office. Later that day, the landlord came to me, told me that he was evicting both of the suspected drug dealers. By Thursday, one unit was completely gone. The other unit will be moving shortly. And to say activity has been a lot quieter is an understatement. This Saturday, I was visited by 3 volunteers from NAD. They came to get information from me, and they also were going around our neighborhood. I think this is just a wonderful asset to our our community, and I had no idea of the swiftness. Now I'd like to share comments about the Sheridan Park site for the new police station. I would like to congratulate the council for making the decision to choose the Sheridan Park site for the following reasons. One, I feel that you listen to the experts. When I say experts, besides the consultants, I consider the Chief Kirk and the police department the experts for where to locate the police station because they are the ones doing the job every day. It just makes sense that their insight would be invaluable. The police department wanted the site to keep the new station as a community station by placing it in a residential area that is in the middle of the community neighborhoods. This is for public safety, keeping a visible presence for all residents that is centrally located. The department also mentioned that it is fiscally responsible as possible, and the $900,000 savings was a big plus. I also found out that they toured the state and looked at other police stations, so they knew what would be best for Sheboygan. The new station is based on a projected 20-year plan. There will be underground parking, and by closing off 13th Street to the west side, there will be 3 acres. When they build the station initially, it can be reinforced structurally to have additional stories added if needed in the future. Fiber optics is already at the site. Shared services can take place at the site. Aside from the consultants determining this was the best site, and I hope I have the right committee, the Planning and Use Committee met over 80 meetings in a 3.5 period discussing where the new station should be located. As far as losing a park, that was my major concern. But I did listen as Alderman Warner had pointed out that the park's green space will be replaced with another site in the neighborhood. I also learned that right now 80% of the children in the neighborhood are on the west side of 14th Street. A petition was passed around the neighborhood before the vote was taken 2 weeks ago, and the vast majority signed it stating they wanted the new police station to be built there. Alderman Wagerman has stated that being old does not make it an historic park. And I just want to finish up by saying that we really should consider the facts. Do not fall for emotional fears or non-factual rumors. Families will not be displaced. Children will not be without a park, and in the time of tight budgetary times, it is the most fiscally responsible choice. Citizens need to be proactive, not reactive. Attend meetings, keep informed, and let your alderpersons know your opinion. Recently, there was an article in the paper that I read that pretty much said that we were signaling out this neighborhood because of the economic, socioeconomic status of the citizens. I feel this is very unfair. Anybody in this community can help children in any neighborhood. I volunteer across the city because I live in one area. I do not just help children in that neighborhood. I respect the 4 alderpersons who vote against Sheridan. I just respectfully disagree with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicki Hall. Vicki? Vicki, can I get your home address, please?
Yes, it's 925 North 4th Street.
North 4th?
North 4th, yes.
Thank you. And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to address the council, not only for myself, but for the Friends of Sheboygan's Parks and the many, many city residents who've told us that they want to save Sheridan Park. I didn't subscribe to the press until mid-June, so I haven't followed all the twists and turns of this issue. However, I understand now that the council's majority decision was an economic one, based on tight budgets. We taxpayers appreciate your fiscal concerns. Your thoughts to developing parkland like Sheridan Park, or Fountain Park, or Kiwanis Park means that we don't have to buy the land to build on, because the public owns public parklands. But when you keep your eyes fixed on the bottom line, it's hard to keep your vision to the longer term. Issues of land values, which will drop when the park is destroyed, and environmental concerns, and perhaps most importantly, people's emotional connection to parks. Sheridan Park's long history has inspired an incredible groundswell of public support to save this historic park, which dates back to the birth of our city before Lincoln was even president. and with its Civil War memorial placed there by the Daughters of Union Veterans. After all, Sheridan Park survived through the hardest times of all: the Civil War, the Depression of 1873, 2 world wars, millions of immigrants and labor unrest, and most importantly, the Great Depression. Times today aren't half as tough as they were then. But Sheridan Park didn't get sold for cash. It didn't get developed to save money. It survived for 157 years. Why? Because community parks like Sheridan Park live in our past, serve our present, and remain our gift to future generations. Folks believe that you just don't destroy a park. Neighborhoods change over the years, but public parkland should not be developed or sold. We estimate that 90% of city residents support the protection of Sheridan Park now and forever, based on the response to our petition drive. Many did not speak before because they did not think in their wildest dreams that the park would be chosen. Please hear their voices now and save Sheridan Park. It's not too late. Surely the city's plan commission can find us a non-park site for the next much-needed police station. And the Friends of Sheboygan's Parks will be glad to lend a hand. For all of them and myself, we respectfully request your vote to rescind and to save Sheridan Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Dr. Richard Windsor. Dr. Windsor. Dr. Richard Windsor.
Doctor.
Mayor Schramm, ladies and
Doctor,
gentlemen,
could you use his microphone, please?
ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Richard Windsor. I think I can speak without the machine.
No, we need it.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Thank you, sir.
I live at 426 Erie Avenue,
Thank you, sir.
and I'm allotted 4.5 minutes.
You get 5.
Is that correct? 5?
5.
5 minutes,
All
sir.
right. 47 years ago, my wife and I selected Sheboygan as an ideal place to live. It has exceeded our expectations. We love it. One of Sheboygan's strongest advantages has been local government. We are thankful for that. However, we all sometimes make unwise decisions. On August 2nd, 2004, an unfortunate vote was taken by this council to destroy Sheridan Park and place a police station on the site. No one I know opposes a new, modern, larger police station. That's not the issue. The present station has been in service for over 70 years. The mistake is the site selected. The deciding factor in your decision was saving the taxpayers money, and that is a worthy goal. But in this situation, what are the real savings in dollars? What are the other sacrifices and the effects on the quality of life? The cost of land for a station in another location was $300,000. If it is hoped that the new station would last maybe 50 years, there are 16,061 real estate taxpayers in the city of Sheboygan. Over 50 years, that expense would cost each taxpayer less than 38 cents per year. Even if a trade of land and the cost of decontamination of soil at the other site were included, the estimated total cost would be a little over $1 million a year, or $1.25 per taxpayer per year. I think to think of this in another way, this is what would be saved by destroying Sheridan Park. There are many other issues. The significant historical value of Sheridan Park. It was established in 1846 and is on the original plat of the city of Sheboygan along with Fountain Park. The location and the space for the new station, are 2.5 to 3 acres enough? What about future expansion? What about safety? Should the new station be in a residential area, fronting on one of the 2 busiest thoroughfares in our city? There are other possible sites. What about property values in the Sheridan Park area, if the park were destroyed? What about the advice of experts hired by the taxpayers in various city departments, city development and planning, city engineer, city planning, park division, and city forester, all of whom advised against the Sheridan Park location? Please do not destroy this park with beautiful 100-year-old trees and attractive shrubs and bushes and valuable green space. Other cities are creating neighborhood parks, and they are tearing down structures in crowded areas to make way for pocket parks. The good thing is, no harm has yet been done. You can still stop this tragedy through rescission of your action of August 2nd. I beg you to put the people of the Sheridan Park area first. They have no other green space within walking distance. They live in older and for the most part modest homes with little yard and some of them with no yards. So I have to quote the Sheboygan Press editorial of August 4th, where it says that Mayor James Schramm, publicly endorsed neither site, that was Sheridan versus 23rd Street, but he said, and this is a marvelous quote, "We have to be sure that we do what's right for this community for the future. Not at this point in time, but the future." And I'm not talking 10 years out. I'm talking 50, 100 years out. Please, Mr. Mayor, use your considerable leadership talents to help this council rescind their efforts of August 2nd.
Your time is up,
Please
Dr.
maintain
Windsor.
the quality of life and let
Excuse
the
me?
people in the Sheridan area keep their park. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Verhasseld? Mr. Verhasseld? Dan? Dan? Dan, would you like to spell your last name for me again? I know I have it downstairs, but
Sure, it's V as in Victor, E-R, H-A-S-S-E-L-T.
SSELT, and your address, Dan?
705 Fairway Drive.
Fairway? Is that in Sheboygan?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. You have 5 minutes, Dan.
All right, I'd like to just introduce myself again. I'm Dan Verhasseld. I'm married, and I'm proud to say I have a newborn at home, little Noah here. I've lived in the city of Sheboygan since 1990, and I actually moved out of the city here in 1998, but I decided to move back in 2000, and one of the biggest reasons is I just like the feel of Sheboygan. I like the way it felt. And you can't just put one thing on it, but the city just has a feel. You drive through it, maybe you don't use every single park you see, every single green space, but it just looks nice and it makes you feel good. Okay. As a taxpayer, I lay claim, I guess I would say I lay claim to a tiny part of Sheridan Park, and I'm not interested in selling it. But I'd like to start out first by just acknowledging some of the legitimate arguments that might exist. And I've talked to a majority of the aldermen here, with the exception of those who actually voted for keeping Sheridan Park. The cost, I do admit there is anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million, give or take. I think right from the top of the command I heard $300,000. Depending on how you cut it, whether it's over the life of the loan, over the life of the building, it's going to be anywhere from 35 to 90 cents per household over the next 30, 50 years. Cost is really not, in my mind, a legitimate issue. I mean, I appreciate you guys looking out for my money. I really do. So don't get me wrong on that. But I'm okay with that extra money if you want to charge it to me, and I'll even pay one of yours. The fiber optics at the Sheridan site, I heard that come up quite often. Again, there is a cost. I've heard anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. We're talking less than a nickel that's going on my taxes over the next 30 or 50 years. All right. The neighborhood, it does have a few problems to sort out, but you know what? So does mine, has a few, and I'm sure yours aren't perfect as well, but I don't want a police station next to my park. And again, I live about eight blocks down the road on New Jersey, or just off of New Jersey. My backyard is New Jersey Avenue. But I don't want a cop station back there where the Sheboygan A's play. We can't build a police station wherever crime exists. So I think it's a small, tiny issue. Centrality is another one. Everybody brought up to me, we need something central. I don't know about you, but I always pictured Cole Memorial as being the center of the city, cutting it down the middle. I may be off 4 or 5 blocks, but it's pretty negligible, I think. You're talking 30 or 60 seconds in a squad car to get from one area to another. All right. Now, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I am for a police station. I think we probably need one. This is an old building. We need to update it, and I'm all for the police. I think they do a commendable job here in the city. I really do. Every interaction I've had has been extremely positive. Some concerns I have, though, and some falsehoods that have been represented out there across the city, are that the Sheridan neighborhood wants to build this park. And I'm here to tell you that's exactly wrong. That's absolutely wrong. I spent 3 full days canvassing, I think it was 6 different blocks, full blocks. And I didn't hit every house because not everybody's home. But I'll tell you, as I stand here today, I have 120 signatures of people within 2 to 3 blocks of that park that say, I don't want a police station, I want the park. And I'll go on, that's 96%. And I'll be honest with you, I have about 3 people who really wanted that police station there. If I do the math, that's 96 to 97% of the people in that area don't want the police station. Again, no offense, guys. Let me go on to say that I actually have over 900 signatures that we've collected in the last 3 days across the city. And I'm saying from North Avenue to 10th Street, North 10th to North 24th, North 20th to North 28th, North 79th to North 4th, we've got the north side covered. South 7th to South 9th, South 10th to South 12th, South 16th to South 20th. I mean, I could go on forever here. Lincoln to Lakeshore, Grand to Geely, Maine to MacArthur, Jefferson to Georgia. We've got the entire city covered, and we've got all your districts covered as well, all your wards. Your constituents, in overwhelming fashion, do not want that park to go. I could go on, but I feel like I'm starting to act like Howard Dean, and I'm going to have to scream here pretty soon. Again, it's false that kids can actually use Sheridan Park. I mean, they Sheridan School Playground. Kids can use it to some degree, but it's really apples and oranges. The school is 70% blacktop, 20% wood chips, 9% grass, and 1% tree, from my vantage point. That's not an official number, but those are the numbers, and you can't dispute that. I'm not going to go sit on the blacktop with a sandwich and a soda in the middle of the afternoon and relax next to the fence as cars whiz by. I want to go back underneath the shade tree and relax. I can't have a family picnic, any kind of relaxing. Another falsehood that keeps coming up in talking to people, our aldermen, is that no one really uses the park. And I really want to quickly point this out. Over those, Vicki, if you could hold that up. Over the last 3 days, there are tons of kids south of Sheridan Drive. There are not that many to the west side, actually, that people were talking about. Those are pretty quiet houses that I ran into. So a lot of them are south. They can easily cross over on New Jersey, Maryland, and so on. All right. Another falsehood that's coming up is that people can improve their property values by having a police station there. There may be something to
I'm
that,
sorry,
but I've
Dan.
not been able to
I'm
find-
sorry, your 5 minutes are up.
All right, let me just wrap it. I just want to say thank you to the rest of the group here, but there is no research supporting that police station will increase the property value. Parks themselves have been proven to increase property value. A real estate agent always says, I got a pretty little park for your kids to play at.
Thank you, Dan.
And that's
Thank
what we
you,
want to
Dan.
keep.
Professor Carl Byron. Professor Carl Byron. Professor, can you give me your home address, please?
Absolutely. 327 Ontario Avenue.
Ontario. And you will have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Dr. Carl Byron. I am the Assistant Professor of Geography at UW Sheboygan. When I earned my master's, I focused my research on development on national park landscapes. I had examined both successful and failed policies for development in our parks. I earned my PhD from the University of Maryland. For my doctoral dissertation, I researched urban geography. I specifically focused on how landscape changes affected both positively and negatively urban communities. I learned that in the 19th century, urban reformers recognized that green space could lead to better citizens and a better city. They believed city leaders were obligated to provide urban dwellers, especially those of lower income, with parks that would generate a greater sense of health and morality. Parks not unlike our Sheridan Park So our founders in 1848 were on the cutting edge when it came to realizing what our citizens would need. This underlying truth that people need parks and that parks have a positive impact on the city itself remain valid today. Yes, Sheboygan is a city of parks, and I know some have argued that taking away Sheridan Park will have a limited impact on our total park acreage, so they claim it's no real loss. But in the reality of the Sheridan Park landscape, this assertion could not be more wrong. In her seminal work, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, urbanist Jane Jacobs discusses that the goal is to have viable neighborhoods. Viability depends on how well the residents are connected to the overall city and to each other. Isolation in any form decreases viability and raises crime. The Sheridan Park community is situated between the busy thoroughfare of South 14th Street to its west and the Sheboygan River to its east. Its very location disconnects it from the rest of Sheboygan and our city's other wonderful parks. So it already is at a major risk and deserves special attention from us. Taking away its park and adding a police station will disconnect this neighborhood further, adding even more traffic and removing a great opportunity for residents to connect with each other and remain connected with the greater city identity, that of a city of parks. Take away the park and you will be making this neighborhood less viable, not more. You will raise crime, not lower it. I know that doesn't sound logical in the face of your wanting to place a police station there, but studies in urban geography prove otherwise. Consider defensible space. It is not created by buildings with law enforcement offices, but is generated by the residents themselves. Specifically, communities tend to experience less crime when the residents can keep an eye on the neighborhood. I have great hope that many of the residents facing the park there have drug-free signs in their yard. So should you. We need to focus on these proactive endeavors and police patrols, not eliminating the park. Instead of going to the extreme of building a police station, there are simple components of urban morphology that create defensible space. For example, front porches allow adults to monitor neighborhood activities. All but 2 residents around Sheridan Park have front porches. If you replace the front park view with a police station, residents will feel more compelled to remain inside. Without a park, children and youths will have less of a chance to recreate, more incentive for troublemaking. So rather than helping the neighborhood to fight crime, placing a police station there will in fact decrease the defensibility of this space. This phenomenon has been seen again and again in urban environments. Drug dealing occurs within yards of police stations and other urban areas, including Milwaukee and previously in my former city of Bozeman, Montana. To eliminate illicit drug activities, we should increase the number of patrols near the park, rather than making it the home base of police operations. We would empower the residents, not disconnect them. Finally, the addition of facilities that generate a great deal of automobile traffic and congestion, such as hospitals and police stations, tend to decrease property values. The frequent comings and goings of police cruisers and other vehicles associated with this facility, multiplied by the 24/7 operation of the station, will have a devaluing effect on property values. This again will have a negative effect on the neighborhood. Whether or not they realize it now, the residents need Sheridan Park, and we and the rest of the city also benefit from its presence. We must consider that many individuals in the community possess limited mobility. We must consider it our moral obligation to provide them all provide all of the neighborhood children with a park within reasonable walking distance from their homes, just as our founders did. But even those who do have cars need to have the full right of citizenship that others in our city have, access to a park within safe walking distance. Removing an entire park in order to possibly reduce crime in a neighborhood is akin to keeping a tourniquet around your arm for a paper cut on your finger. While it may stop the bleeding, the long-term damage will be devastating. The removal of Sheridan Park will not only be devastating to the Sheridan Park community, but it will prove hazardous to the health of Sheboygan overall. And finally, the committee should consider that by allowing this to happen to Sheridan Park, a dangerous precedent will be set, a precedent that generates a tenuous future for any park within our city limits, including those near your own homes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also have a copy.
Pardon?
I also have a copy of this if you would like to submit it for public record.
Very good. Yes, please.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I have actually a report here from the University of Illinois that supports the gentleman's findings on crime.
You can turn it into the city clerk as a document.
Okay. That would
If you'd
be
like.
great. Can I do that now?
Sure, you can bring it up here now. We'll take it.
I have copies for all the aldermen as well,
Okay.
and that supports everything that he said.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Before we get into consent agenda, I'd like to make one announcement. Alderman Pat Monaghan was with it. Excuse me?
Excuse me, may I speak, please?
No, not right now. They have to open the floor if they want anybody to speak. Could I finish this, please? Good. Alderman Pat Monaghan was an alderman from 1985 through 1991. He passed away this weekend. He was ill for some time. Some of the committees he did serve on: Public Protection and Safety, Public Works, Special Committee on Fire Facilities, Salary and Grievance, Board of Health, Industrial Development Commission. He chaired Judiciary and Legislative, Salary and Grievance over the years, Board of Contract Examiners, and he was also a representative for a long time on Board of Contract Examiners and President of the Council from 90 to 91. So could we have a moment of silence for past alderman? Thank you. Now we have a motion and a second before us to open the floor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Roll call. Go ahead, call the roll.
This is to open the floor, and I would be to open the floor. Berg?
No.
Bonet?
No.
Serta?
No.
Graff?
Aye.
Manny?
Aye.
Montemayor?
Aye.
Perez?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Sagali?
No.
Steffen?
No.
Van Akkeren?
No.
Vanderweel?
No.
Wangeman?
No.
Warner?
No.
995. Okay. Excuse me, Alderman Vanderweel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In all interest of fairness, we heard 4 last week against Sheridan, 4 this week against Sheridan, and we just tried to open the floor and was denied. In interest of fairness, I'd like to make a motion to open the floor for 4 for it, if they're even here, because we have a lot against it, for 5 minutes to speak, and 4 against it for 2 minutes to speak. And then have it at that. If that's acceptable to...
I guess they can make any motion they want.
All right, we have a motion and a second before us again. To open the floor for 4 who want to speak for it and 2 against it.
4 against it for a 2-minute limit.
Wait, say it again.
4 for it for a 5-minute limit.
4 for it for a 5-minute limit.
And
For what?
4 for the police station at Sheridan Park. And then 4 against the police station at Sheridan Park for a 2-minute limit.
Now, who seconded it? Who seconded it?
Alderman Warner?
You seconded it?
I didn't second it. I would like to speak something before it, that's all.
All right.
I guess, to me, we've heard from 8 people opposed, and with a public forum, if you open it to the floor, it could go on forever, and I don't really have a huge problem with that, except for the fact that I think we need to hear both sides, and since we've had 8 people speak against using Sheridan Park, and 1 person be allowed to speak, because if you fill up the public forum, it gets filled up. I'd like to just take away the 4 people for 2 minutes that are opposed to using Sheridan, and allow 4 people who think we should use Sheridan for a site of a new police station to speak. That's still 2 to 1, but I think that where we are right now, it would be nice to hear the other side a little bit, because in my district especially, it's completely opposite of what you see here tonight. Now, the vocal minority is speaking out, and that's a good thing. I'm glad they're doing that, but I don't think we're hearing from the silent majority, and I think it would be proper to do that, have 4 people for Sheridan Park speak so that they can get their name out there too, because the press always takes the controversial issues, not the other ones.
Thank you. Alderman Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I don't recognize the fairness in the motion and perhaps the amended motion. The people who want to speak in favor of the police station had an opportunity, just like anybody else did, to call city clerk and have their name posted. If we really want to hear the people, I'm prepared to stay here till midnight. If the people want to speak, I've said it before, I will say it again many times, we need to listen. I don't see the fairness in allowing just 4 people who are against who are in favor of putting the police station at Sheridan Park.
Thank you. Alderman Stefan?
Yeah, I voted against it last time. I don't see the logic in, I mean, unless somebody can tell me they've got something new. We've discussed this for 6 months. I've heard every argument for, I think I've heard every argument against it. You know, I just, you know, it's not, I agree with Alderman Perez. If there was somebody saying something new, I'd want to hear it. But, you know, today I had 11 messages on my machine, you know, some for, some against, all different reasons, different logic. And I understand it. I think it's wonderful that these people showed up, but I think, you know, we could be here all night, I guess, unless somebody can convince me that they've got something new to say. I think we should just go by our regular rules.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Let me repeat this motion so I have this right. By Vanderweel and Warner, that 4 people that are for Sheridan Park speak for 5 minutes each, and that 4 people that are against Sheridan Park speak for 2 minutes each. Is that correct, Alderman Vanderweel?
Did Alderman Warner want to amend that?
There was not an amendment on the floor.
We're voting on a regular motion right now.
You want to amend that? Is there a second to that? Do we have a second?
I didn't hear a second.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, you got a second? All right. Go ahead. Alderman Perez, you had something to say.
Although I didn't support that motion, I will vote in favor, because I really believe if the people who support the police station at Sheridan Park want to speak to us, they have a right to speak to us too.
Okay, we have an amendment.
This is to eliminate the 2-minute
We have to vote on amendment first.
Yep.
Now, does everybody know what they're voting?
Do you know what you're voting on?
You're opening up the floor.
For the amendment, you're voting to eliminate the 4 people against Sheridan Park for 2 minutes each. Is that correct? You're eliminating 4 people, so all we will be hearing is 4 people for Sheridan Park. So a yes vote will be to eliminate the 4 against Sheridan. Berg?
4 minutes? Yes. 4 people.
4 people for 2 minutes each to eliminate that whole section. Is everybody clear? Aye. Berg, aye. Bonet?
You want to repeat that? Some got confused. I'm not sure they know what they're voting on, so.
Alderman Vanderweel and Warner made a motion for 4 people that are in favor of Sheridan Park for 5 minutes each, 4 people against Sheridan Park for 2 minutes each. Alderman Warner and Berg amended it to eliminate the 4 people against Sheridan Park. Take that out, and all we'll be hearing from is 4 people for Sheridan Park.
For use of Sheridan Park for the police station.
Yes.
Not for keeping Sheridan Park.
Right.
That's what I understand, Alderman Vanderweel.
Correct?
Is Alderman
Alderman
Vanderweel, is that for using Sheridan Park as the police station?
Right.
Is that correct?
4 people for using
Sheridan Park as the police
as a
site.
police station.
Okay. So what you're voting on now is the amendment to eliminate anyone speaking against Sheridan Park being used as a police station site. So a yes vote will be eliminating those 4 people. Are we clear yet?
Everybody clear?
Okay, Alderman Berg? Yes. Alderman Bonet? No. Serta? Yes. Graff? No. Manny? No. Montemayor?
No.
Perez? No. Peterson? No. Sagali?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Van Akkeren?
Yes.
Vanderweel?
Yes.
Wangeman?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 yes, 6 no. So the amendment passed.
Amendment passed. Now, you have to vote on opening up the floor to these people to speak.
To 4 people that are in favor of Sheridan Park as the police site.
Call the roll, please.
Berg?
Aye.
Bonet?
No.
Serta?
Aye.
Graff?
Aye.
Manny?
Aye.
Montemayor?
Aye.
Perez? Peterson? Sagali?
Aye.
Stefan?
No.
Van Akkeren?
Aye.
Vanderweel?
Aye.
Wangeman? Warner? 12 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay. Motion carried. Who would like to step up to the microphone first and give us your name, address?
This would be in favor of Sheridan Park.
This is in favor of Sheridan Park for police station. Whoever. Hang on a minute. You have Officer again.
Yes, sir, can you give me your name, please, and your home address?
Eric Edson, 3612 Rosewood Court.
3612 what?
Rosewood Court.
Rosewood? And you have 5 minutes.
I had not intended to address the council tonight, but since they allowed us to speak, I will. I'm just simply going to read to you a letter that I provided all the alderpersons with and the mayor in support of using Sheridan Park as a new police station. For those of you who do not know, I'm the president of the Sheboygan Professional Police Association, and I represent all the men and women, patrolmen and detectives of the police department. On behalf of the men and women of the Sheboygan Professional Police Association, I would like to offer this letter in support of your decision to select Sheridan Park as the site for a new police building. I am aware that since the decision, members of the council have come under criticism from certain people in the community. However, I believe that the opposition comes from a small vocal minority and that the majority of citizens you represent support your choice. Months of debate have taken place, and you are all familiar with the pros and cons of Sheridan Park and the North 23rd Street sites. As such, I will not regurgitate the laundry list of arguments available in support of Sheridan Park. Nonetheless, let me simply remind you that the city has spent considerable money hiring experts to evaluate potential sites and to make a recommendation to the city. The chief, probably the most dependable expert in terms of judging the needs of the department, has from the beginning preferred and recommended Sheridan Park. Finally, the city's Building Use Committee endorsed Sheridan Park as its recommendation. Needless to say, there is a lot of emotion wrapped up in this decision, but emotion can and oftentimes does cloud logic. This emotion, combined with a wealth of misinformation currently circulating in the community, is the underlying force behind the opposition to Sheridan Park. The decision concerning the construction of a multi-million-dollar police facility must be based in logic. I believe that the City Council knows this, and after objectively evaluating your options, you have made the best decision. The men and women of the Sheboygan Police Association support your decision to select Sheridan Park and trust that you will stand by your decision and move forward in the construction of a new police facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, and Chief, you want to speak also? Okay, this young man here wants to speak first. Come on up.
May I stand up?
Please, come up.
How long do I have?
Yes, sir. Can you give me your name first, please?
My name is Brian Michael Verstradi.
Say it again.
Brian Michael Verstradi.
Verstradi? V-E-R-S-T?
R-A-T-E, yes.
S-T-R-E-T. And where do you live, sir? What's your address?
I live at the Wasserman's Apartments of 611 North Water Street.
611 North Water Street. And you have 5 minutes to speak.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, as when I was a young kid, I grew up in that area nearby Sheridan and by the park. And I even played in it. If anything else, I must say, if anybody here has anything to say that would be anything of interest, maybe I can advise maybe an alternative. Because I know there's a gravel area nearby by the park there where you go down the park area and you take a left, and in that area, and as you go all the way through, there's an area where they got a gravel area, and it's got some closed down buildings, and they ain't being used at all. In fact, they could be used in manner of the same thing. Maybe a possible alternative than waste a park when they could use something that can be useful land right there. See, and there would be a better alternative if you could make use of that instead of just wasting it and just wasting your time on something that would just waste a park and then leave an empty lot where nothing would be done with it. Anything more I have to simply point out is that it'd be worth more. It'd be better off doing like with this piece of property that's close nearby, where the old meat market used to be. That's also the same area. Well, I'd say we'll just you could just put you could just connect the two buildings and save money. And you could even build upon them and even connect with them if you can make a good offer. So by that, you'd be saving money instead of wasting it. So there's what I'll have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I should say who might be saving money. I don't know.
Hi.
Hi,
Very nervous.
Can you give me your name, please?
Gina Steinhardt,
Gina,
and I live at 1311 Maryland Avenue.
1311.
And that's 1 block from the park. Recently, I walked around, got a lot of opinions of neighbors to get some ideas of what they thought. Some are nervous about the noise and increased traffic, but when we talked about things like the drug deals and the drug houses around the park, and if the police department made concessions for the noise and traffic, if they figured out a way to solve those problems, the neighbors that live where I live were all for it. So I don't know, I've seen a few neighbors here. I don't know where a lot of these people are from, but I don't recognize a lot of them as neighbors. So I just wanted to let you know that. There is about 30 children on just the south side of the park. Every day I drive by the park, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are at the park. The 30 children on our side of the park don't have any place to play. The parents don't consider it safe there. Many of the neighbors have told me it's not a good place and they don't feel that they would ever let their kids play there. It's much safer to go to Sheridan Elementary. It might look great to all of these people. The park looks good from 14th Street. Drive down New Jersey or 13th or Virginia and you'll see the cracked roads, cracked sidewalks. Everything's in need of repair. There's so much run down in our neighborhood besides just the apartments and some of the houses around it. It's become a very unsafe neighborhood. The park has become part of the problem. It is a gathering place for the gangs. The Outlaws biker gang is 1 block from our house as well. That's another gathering place. And there's been very many cars in our area because of Rockline and because of a lot of the people who hang around there, that a lot of cars are broken into or stolen. And a lot of the neighbors can attest that that's the truth. There's 3 of my neighbors sitting right with me. They had their cars broken into. So, we all are very in support of getting our police department built and our neighborhood cleaned up. We don't feel that our property value will go down at all. It will go up because we really have a problem in our neighborhood anyway. And we're on the south side. NAD has only begun trying to fix the drug problems on the north side of the park. It's all signed and everything up, but they haven't even finished and reached their goal on the north side to even come to the south side, because I've been in touch with Todd Prevey about it. And, they'll get to us sooner or later, but meanwhile, we're just trying to cope with everyday life there when it's not all that safe with the Rockline and Mayline traffic. There's a lot of cars. There's a lot of, just really unsafe areas. I wouldn't let my kids go to that park without being supervised, and many other parents wouldn't either. One of the neighbor girls told me that there was a 5th grader that went to school with drugs last year, only received a 3-day suspension for it. We need a police department that is going to be nearby that can prevent this kind of thing from happening. 5th graders going to an elementary school with drugs. This is a major problem. This elementary school needs to be protected. And we don't think, if all of these people really want to help out, we'd like to see them come to the park. We don't see half these people come to the park. There's nobody using the park on a regular basis. Even in the last 2 days when it was beautiful weather, there was only 1 or 2 kids at the park. I drive by it every single day. I know exactly what's going on there, and it's not used at all to its fullest potential. The school has way better equipment, and it's just a much safer place. We think that having the police department in the middle of the city and right off 14th Street will help equal out protection for both sides as well. We'd like to see, some major improvements happening. So we're hoping that the city will stay with their vote and that they won't change their mind. And and let people from outside of our area decide what's good for our area. Because our area is in very dire need of repair and police protection. We don't get nearly enough police in our area, and we need more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gina.
Chief, can you give me your home address, please?
1923 Pine Bluff Drive, Sheboygan.
And you'll have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'm David Kirk. I don't have to tell the alderman who I am, but for the people who are present here tonight, I'm the chief of the Sheboygan Police Department. I speak in support of Sheridan Park. I speak in support of a new police department. I came to the city of Sheboygan in 1977. At that time, Bill Wangeman was an officer with our department. At that time, I was told, son, don't worry, you'll soon have a new police department. That's 27 years later. We're still talking. We're still attempting to find a spot for the police department. I think one of the greatest things tonight is it creates an excellent discussion from the citizens amongst the aldermen as to no longer do I hear that we need a new police department. What I hear now is a discussion on where it's going to take place. First off, I'd like to compliment the aldermen on the Building Use Committee. I think they've done an excellent job. They pushed this issue through some many hard times in the sense that they wanted to find a spot. When I took over as chief almost a little bit less than 5 years ago, I recall the mayor speaking to me, and one of the major concerns he had, and the number one priority, was to find a new spot for the police department. He's been supportive of that need. Unfortunately, we have different views. Our Building Use Committee has recommended Sheridan Park, and there are other aldermen, there are other city officials who have voted or have took a different view that we should go to a different location. I respect the opinions of others. I've had numerous phone calls over the last, say, 2 weeks, some for the park, some against. As I've talked to some of these, it's the same thing Alderman Stephan has said. We wish we'd have more information or different information. The time has come. The Building Use Committee has spoken. They have picked Sheridan Park. Now, if in fact the Common Council wishes to change their mind, I think it would be another setback in a police department that since 1977 I've been assured will be coming. One of the great concerns the Building Use Committee, as well as I, had with looking for these sites was budgetary concerns. Sure, there's only $1 million that there's a concern here that we could save $1 million. We currently are not full staffed on the police department. We're down 6 employees. If in fact there's no concern for money, then I would like to have my employees back. I'm also the president of the police executive group in the state of Wisconsin. I've been chairman for the last 2 years. The embarrassment of this police department is held that I do not hold meetings in the current police department. The city of Sheboygan has never built a police department. The city of Sheboygan built a city hall and placed a police department within City Hall. There's a completely different concern for a police department and different needs than a office complex or a city hall. Shared services, we can do shared services at Sheridan Park as well as any other site. The only concern we may have is with property and evidence storage if in fact we wish to pursue shared services with the County of Sheboygan Sheriff's Department. However, we're looking at areas, or the grass clippings drop-off spot that was abandoned by the Department of Public Works. We're looking at that for a new impound area. There is a possibility that we could do shared services with property and evidence at that location. Please rest assured, our administration is not looking away from shared services. We're looking, and we will be studying these issues to get back to you. If in fact we go to Sheridan Park, it's a 3-acre parcel. If in fact we close down 13th Street versus that of a 4-acre parcel. Different parcels have different requirements for building size. We at one time, I often hear, we at one time chief wanted 4 acres, now you're going to look at a 2.6 acres site. Different sites pose different construction design. We can do what we need to do at Sheridan Park. I hate to set us backwards once again. I've been looking forward to a new police department since 1977. We are highly regarded in the state of Wisconsin. We have an excellent police department as far as personnel, but our current facility is certainly in need of repair. The last comment I guess I would like to say is once again, I like to support those who have voted for it, those who have voted against it. Your opinions vary. My opinions vary from my personnel at times. The last concern I have is the issue of traffic. People say that there's going to create too much traffic. There is a concern on 14th Street for traffic. That's why we have Sergeant Tim Tarkowski up there during school almost a regular basis. I think just the opposite. I hear people say that the traffic problem would be much worse if, in fact, the police department went to that location. I disagree. I think if you place the police department within that location, we will slow the traffic down and have a calming effect on that neighborhood. Is the police department a good neighbor? I think so. Thank you for your support. Thank you for those who sit on the building use, those who sit on this common council. I think this is a great day, that we have some great discussions. I just ask that you continue where you're going, that we do build our new police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, and we will move on. Consent agenda. Alderman Warner.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. I move that all ROs be accepted and placed on file, all RCs be accepted and adopted, all resolutions, substitute resolutions, and ordinances be passed.
Second. We have a motion before us and a second that all ROs be accepted and filed, RCs accepted and adopted, and resolutions be put upon their passage. That's 10-1 through 10-18. Under discussion. Under discussion.
Doesn't happen for a while.
Would you call the roll, please?
Bonet. Serta. Groff. Manny. Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Stefan. Van Akkeren. Vanderweel. Wangerman. Warner. And Berg. 14 ayes.
Motion carried. 10-19. Alderman Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to pull forward 1035.
Which one, Alderman Perez?
Excuse me, 1035?
1035?
Okay. Alderman Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the resolution be put upon this passage.
Move to second the resolution be put upon this passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is a resolution that I am proposing along with Alderman Montemayor to simply rescind the action that was taken on August 2nd to select Sheridan Park for a police station. Before I speak to the substance of my presentation, I would like to thank the public for attending. I would like to thank the people who are watching TV, because many said they wouldn't be able to attend, but they would be watching. I would like to thank Ms. Vicki Hall, Ms. Vicki Meyer, Mr. Dan Verhasseld. These are the three people that organize these people. It wasn't me. Lately, I've been blamed for everything, including Tiger Woods not winning the GPA. These are the people that organize these people, and I thank them for that. All I was doing was being responsive. I'd like to thank Chief Kirk and Officer Edson for their presentation. They make great sense. Unfortunately, I'm on the other side of the fence. I believe that I need to be responsive and sensitive to the people who have called me, talked to me, pleaded with me to make at least one more effort to save a park that's about to be eliminated from this earth. So what I did is simply put together a resolution to address that. And I did that knowing full well there was going to be retribution. 3 letters today accusing me of being unethical. All I am doing is being responsive. I was elected by the people to do a job. I am going to do my job. I understand the political game. I play it very well. This is not a political game. We are talking about a park that's going to be obliterated from the face of the earth. We'll never see it again. I support the police station. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that. There's little rumors going around. The only reason Alderman Perez is doing this is because he wants to kill the police station. I will be the first one up there with whatever you want me to waive to build that police station. A year and a half ago, I wrote a letter to the article, interviewed Officer Edson, interviewed a lot of officers, the Chief of Police Kirk. I started this whole movement a year and a half ago, and I'm ready and prepared to stand behind it now. I want that police station, just as bad as all of you do, and just as bad as the community do. I just don't want it at Sheridan Park, and that is the whole issue. If somebody wants to dislike me for that, accuse me of being unethical, that's the price I am going to have to pay. But I am being responsive to my constituents. I have made many mistakes in my life. I'm 51 years old. I was glad that I was given the opportunity to correct some of those mistakes. Some of those mistakes, nobody gave me an opportunity to correct it. I've got to live with the pain and the scar of those mistakes that I made. And I have. And all I'm asking is this is one time when this council has an opportunity to correct something that we never should have done. And we know we shouldn't have done because there has been a tremendous outcry by the public. When you have about 20 letters to the editor, 2 almost unprecedented Sheboygan Press editorials, over 900 signatures, that doesn't say anything to anybody. It says a lot to me. It says a tremendous amount to me. Why now? That's the other thing I hear. Nobody believed this council was going to do it. Now somebody may say, yeah, right. Well, I didn't believe the council was going to vote that way either. And all of a sudden reality hit in. We've lost our park. That's why now? People ask, where are all these people? They're right here now. That's where they are. They're watching TV. And they will continue to talk. I also put together this motion, this resolution to rescind, because people kept telling me, people don't care if we put a police station in Sheridan Park. Yes, they do. They told me your people in your district don't care. We've talked to them. Yes, they do. I've gone and knocked on doors myself, and I got signatures and addresses to prove it. They told me the whole community really didn't care. The overwhelming majority could care less if you put a police station there. I found that to be untrue. Somebody is giving somebody the wrong information. Now, they've told me, people have said, Juan, you're running an uphill battle. It's a long shot. Nothing's going to happen. The aldermen really don't care. They've made up their mind. I don't believe that. I still believe in the goodness of each and every one of you, that we can sit back and say as grown men and women, we made a mistake. Let's correct it. And that's not a very hard thing to do. We all make mistakes. So I really believe that this council does care. I believe that Your Honor, the Mayor, Mayor Schramm, cares too. You may have a little bit of disagreements here and there, but I think if we really think this thing out, the bottom line is going to be, we're going to build the best police station there is. That just won't be at Sheridan Park. And that's okay. That is really okay to do that. We're going to save dollars. I think Dr. Windsor explained it pretty well. I think Dan explained it pretty well. 38 cents to $1 a year. You can have my dollar. I want the park. You can have my wife's dollar. She wants the park. My whole family, my friends, they want the park. The park has no value. It's priceless. How can we compare what we're saying we're going to save today and lose it forever? It's gone. It's gone. The last thing I'd like to say is that in my mind, parks are established in perpetuity. It's a public trust. People believe in us and trust us that that land will be held in trust for their benefit. And in my mind, because I believe that way, parks serve, I used to say 3 kinds of people, but it's 4 kinds of people. I was enlightened when I saw little kids running around with little signs at Sheridan Park. The first kind of people is our ancestors, our forefathers, who had foresight to say, we want to park there. It's for the benefit of the whole community. The other people is us, our grown-ups. We can go vote. That park is for our benefit and our use. The other is the future, the unborn. And then the other is these little guys here who can't vote, who can't really speak, who don't have rights until they become 18. Now what does that tell me? 3/4 of the people that park benefits or will benefit and represent can't defend it. It's our job to do that. And that's why I've done what I've done. I risk retribution. I risk being accused of being unethical. That's okay. But I will be responsive to my constituents, and I will do 900 people have told me is right, and what other people have told me is right, what the Sheboygan press has said is right, what our city professionals who were entrusted by our municipal code have said it's right. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, you're right, Alderman Perez, but one thing, I didn't make that my top priority in my first time running an election for this police station, so we've been working on it for a long time. It hasn't been a year and a half. It's been about 6 years since I've been working on it. At least 6 years. Alderman Wanlund.
Thank you, Your Honor. You're right, I served on the police department 28 years, and I'm glad I did. So I'm a little bit prejudiced, but I'm prejudiced for law enforcement. But we've been fed quite a entree of myths. Myth number one is that we made our decision in building use on money. Money was the bottom line. Well, I'm here to tell you, money was only one of the bottom lines. There were many bottom lines. Location was the bottom line. Construction ease was the bottom line. To make a decision like this on one feature would be totally irresponsible. One of the biggest myths I constantly hear is the park is going to be destroyed. We're going to destroy it. We're going to go in with chainsaws. We're going to clear cut it from end to end, corner to corner. Then we're going to lay down blacktop or concrete, and it's going to be destroyed. Nothing could be further from the truth. No plan has been drawn yet. People say, well, you needed 4 acres on 23rd Street. How could you do with 2.66 acres on 14th Street? Because an architect can design a building that can be multi-level. The park ideally suits that. 14th Street is 14 feet higher than 13th Street. So the second floor of the police station would actually be at ground level on 14th Street. Around the back, there would be another level below it. The building can easily be so constructed that you could go to a 3rd floor, 5th floor, 18th floor if you want to. This is done all the time. People have been told that the couple of years are going to pass, the city's going to come looking for your house, they're going to tear it down, we're going to close off all the streets. A doctrine of fear has been introduced, and I find this objectionable. They've talked about congestion. The committee realized that also. I asked the people that worked the police desk to conduct a survey, and for several weeks, they counted the number of people that come into the police station, not for city hall business, but solely for police business. They averaged 2 people per hour for a 24-hour day. Police stations do not generate congestion. Believe me, when I first started working at the police department, we didn't have civilian employees. We had to work the desk. Bender, I'd done that. You don't have big long lines at the police desk. There's another myth that you have squad cars roaring in and out of the police station. Sergeant Tarkowski checked, and over a 9-month period, 1 emergency dispatch left the Sheboygan Police Headquarters. There's a myth that we're going to put it there to fight crime. That was never even discussed. I'm not sure where that one came from. That one came right out of the blue. And then there's the story that the police station would be a poor neighbor. It would cause property values to plunge. It would cause blight, one person said. Alderman Perez has one of the most beautiful homes on North 9th Street. He's put a lot of money, a lot of effort into that house. And I doubt if there's a prettier house on North 9th Street. It was a house that was getting kind of run down. Alderman Perez's home is located across the street from the police station. He apparently didn't feel that way when he did all that. Sheridan Park will not be destroyed. Sheridan Park will be maintained as much in its original condition as is humanly possible. A police station will be built in it, not on top of it. Architects have assured us that there are many ways that they can work with the trees there. There's nothing more beautiful than to have fine old trees surrounding a new building. It makes practical sense in many different ways. Number one, it provides for a great deal of shade, which reduces cooling in the winter or in the summertime. In the wintertime, of course, they act as windbreaks, which helps with the heating. I could go on all night long as to why Sheridan Park just is the best logical site. Officer Edson from the police department made the statement that this is a logical decision, not an emotional one, and we have to look at it as a logical decision. As aldermen, we can't make decisions on emotions. We have to make decisions on logic. Yes, it'll save some money, but again, that's not the main reason as to why we're going to do this. We're going to do it simply because it's the best site, and the man most qualified to decide that is Chief Kirk, and Chief Kirk has repeatedly said, this is what I feel is the best site. He's a professional law enforcement officer. It's true there's other city department heads who are professionals, have said they think it's a bad idea, but they're not professional police officers, and there's a big difference. A police station is not an office with a bunch of cops sitting around it. A police station is a highly technical, a highly used building. It just has very special uses, and only police experts can determine what those uses are. We hired architects who design nothing but police stations. This is why we hired them. We paid him $36,000 to make a decision for us. He has no connection with Sheboygan in any way. His decision was totally based on logic and fact, and we have been given far too few facts. There have been a whole string of unfounded suppositions, and I really am getting tired of hearing unfounded suppositions. I want to hear facts, not this may happen, or that may happen, or this might happen. It's a fact police stations do not generate traffic. It's a fact that police stations are good neighbors. It's a fact the park will not be destroyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Segali.
My vote for Sheridan Park was threefold. I felt I wanted a place where the police station would become a community police station within the community. I wanted to save the taxpayers' money because when I came on this council in April, that was one of my main functions. I wanted to save the taxpayers' money, your money. And also because when you listen to somebody like Chief Kirk saying that this is what he wants as a police station, and this would be the best functional place for a police station, he's the one that has to deal with his officers, his men and women in blue who serve our community, who serve you and serve me. And he knows the best. I won't buckle under to any special interest groups, nor will I be intimidated or threatened to rescind my vote on Sheridan Park. My vote stays with Sheridan Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Warner.
I thank Your Honor, fellow council members. I stand opposed to rescinding the council's 11-4 vote on the use of Sheridan Park as the home for our new police station. I also believe that we are hearing the voice of a very vocal minority of people that oppose the use of Sheridan. I think the vast majority of city residents, that silent majority, believe Sheridan is the best choice for a new police station, not only monetarily, but geographically, and in all the aspects of quality of life that you can consider. In my district, I've heard from people on both sides, as well as from people outside my district. Of the 20 calls I got in favor of Sheridan Park, 15 were from my district. Of the 13 phone calls that I got opposed to us using Sheridan Park, 9 were from my district. That speaks pretty loudly to me because in my district you don't get that much input on a lot of issues. Once I start hitting 20 or 30, that tells me something. The people in my district believe Sheridan Park is the correct choice. I will vote against rescinding our historic decision, and the statements by Mr. Robert Richards in a letter that you received here this evening is another reason. Mr. Richards states, "Gentlemen, I congratulate the Common Council on making the correct choice on the site for a new police station. It's the right choice for many reasons already stated, and I will add 2 more. First, it saves the beleaguered Sheboygan taxpayer nearly $1 million. Second, it puts police presence in an old neighborhood ripe for drug activity that is across the street from an elementary school. We now have the Sheboygan press beating the drum to get the vote reversed. Don't do it." That same newspaper recently ran the article stating that Wisconsin ranks 5th in the U.S. in total tax dollars. The Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance website data indicates that Sheboygan ranks in the top 17% in municipal taxes for cities in our state. Its data also shows that we are in the top 14% in school tax rate. That says we are among the highest tax cities in the country. And now we're looking at a $32 million school referendum. The time is overdue to find ways to reduce taxes. And choosing the Sheridan site is a step in the right direction. Don't cave in. Those were his words. Best regards. I agree with Mr. Richards' beliefs that Sheridan Park is the correct choice. And I say don't cave in and don't rescind. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Warner. Alderman Steffen?
Yes, you know, I alluded to earlier that I think we've been discussing this for quite a bit of time, and it's gotten to its logical end. And I've truthfully, you know, part of me thinks one way, and then I hear the arguments, and I've been going back and forth on it. But in the back of my mind, I've always had this statement, and I can't be clear. I can only imagine Alderman Van Akkeren, Alderman Wangerman, who've served many, many years. I haven't served nearly that time, but I have, you know, meetings run together. But it was the late 80s or the early 90s, and Schultz-Savo had come to the city and asked about, you know, a little portion of Veterans Park they could, you know, they needed for parking. And I don't know if it was because I was on the Parks Committee or because I was on the Sheboygan Softball Association, but we had some type of joint meeting, and we were discussing it. It really didn't matter much to the softball. You know, the ball was never going to get to that area of property. So, you know, they were discussing the pluses and the minuses, and it really wasn't a very heated discussion. And I'll never forget, I have the voice in my mind, as if he was sitting next to me, Harold Beeble, who was a legend in, you know, the Softball Association, the Diamond Clubs. He looked at us and he said, "I don't think we should ever rip up parks." You know, and I philosophically can't get by that point, that I don't think we should rip up parks for any reason. And that's, I will vote to rescind. However, as much as I believe that, I also have a concern that I want to air. The resolution that was brought in, it doesn't tell us what we're doing. It just says we're rescinding, and there's not another step. And as much as I feel I don't rip up the park, I don't want to stop a police station from being built, because I think it's been 27 years, and, you know, I'm not saying that Alderman Perez is trying to stop it. I take him at his word that he's not. But there might be some others in the community. You know, they've been through this time and time and time. We've done 4 or 5 studies. We've got to get a police station built. I guess I would ask Alderman Montemayor Perez, you know, I couldn't amend it. I called the city attorney today, and I wanted to add just a paragraph on the bottom that says, you know, and now therefore be it resolved that the department heads do everything they can to support the North 23rd Street site, which was the opposite. It can't be amended. But I'd like to ask you guys, if you're going to bring that in next week, then I will support the motion to rescind. But I think we've got to, as much as I feel we have to save the parks, I also feel we've got to get a police station built. Thank you.
Just that, a motion to rescind. It cannot conduct two types, 3 types, 4 types of businesses. I would hope that, as I said earlier, it's a long jump, it's a long shot, but I would hope that if the motion were rescinded, the next logical step would be to propose, to make a proposition, to proceed with another location.
Is that what you're willing to do? To
Yes,
bring
sir.
that in?
I am willing to...
Bring it in for 23rd Street site?
No.
Is that what no, you're not willing to do?
No, I'm not going to bring it in for 23rd Street.
Okay. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Alderman Manning.
Thank you, Your Honor. I value the involvement of so many. Democracy in action, it's a wonderful thing. So I trust many of you will be here in 2 weeks to help us deal with all the mundane details of government that we handle consistently, right? That would be too much for everybody. That's why we have representational democracy and not pure democracy. I've learned a lot from many of you, both sides of the issue. For that, I thank you. The more we can listen to each other and be with each other in open conversations that respect and value, the better off we all are as a city, as well as a council, and as operating committees of interest and influence in the community. So I thank you for that. I value the police department's desire for a central site. I think we need to honor that. We need to recognize their expertise. I did go through the Citizens Police Academy a year ago this spring. I have respect for what they do beyond, I think, what many of us have. I would never choose to do it. It is a tough job with a lot of stress. And they are responsible, and they have to deal with things. Of course, they're well trained, but they have to deal with situations that you and I are glad that they deal with and we do not. I also value the movement into community policing. And when they talk about a building that can be used for the community, it will bring in more traffic, Bill. But you're building the community, and as we are neighbors together, in fact, we are all stronger, as has been pointed out by many. Finally, safety is an issue that's ours as citizens in local neighborhoods. If we're proactive and out, things don't happen. When we close our doors and hide, things happen. All of that's a part of it. It's a holistic thing. So, community policing, municipal court possibly in that police site, much going with neighbors against drug meetings, all of that will wonderfully, wonderfully energize this city. It's a wonderful movement, and I congratulate the police department for that. I want more time. I wanted that 2 weeks ago. We didn't get that when I moved to table the motion. I want an official survey that looks 3 to 4 blocks from the site of Sheridan Park. I'm not sure how the best way to do that is, but I don't see why we can't do that. Formal signatures, addresses, responses to a survey. I want an analysis. What is the distance that the average person who lives in Sheboygan has to go to the park that's contiguous to them? Is it 5 blocks, 8 blocks, 3 blocks? What's the average? How does Sheridan Park site compare? What happens if we get rid of it? How far do those people have to travel? I want more data. We have a lot of hearsay that's got some value in it, but boy, you have hearsay on both sides. I want exact data that's in our hands. I want educational pieces published in the best way that we can do that, pro and con. Let's get everybody on both sides of the issues together, summarize it all, and lay it out for the whole city to see. Why can't we do that? Then you will know something that you didn't know prior to this meeting, and I will too, and many, many who aren't here will learn a whole lot. One observation that I think is essential in this whole process, and that is that the Sheridan Park site has been on the table for the city government for years. But it hasn't been on the table, it hasn't been on the radar screen for citizens, because they never really thought that that's actually what might happen. Thus, we need the time, we need the education for all of us, and then when we make a decision, we won't be so disjointed and pained as a decision would be tonight, regardless of what we decide. And that will serve the common good long term. Lastly, I simply want to say I still have another site in mind, and that's the site mentioned by the young man who spoke, and that is on Pennsylvania Avenue, right around the corner. We were kind of running into a roadblock about that possibility, but I believe that business people and city people sitting down together can influence property owners. And it might be wise to throw more money in the pot and buy out the businesses for more than they're worth. Why can't we do that? And maybe the business people will help us with that so that we win, 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 and no one feels like they've lost. A central site, quick and easy access, we save the park, we do all these things at the same time, and no one loses. I think in 6 or 8 weeks we could have enough work done on that possible alternative site to have some sense of wherewithal and whether that might be viable or not. I think after all this time, we owe it to ourselves to wait 6 or 8 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So that we can do what is necessary to do to answer Alderman Stephan's question. Next week, or our next council meeting, I will bring in a document to look at both the 23rd Street site and the Pennsylvania Avenue site, and to get a study by Kimmy and Associates, who do design police facilities, because to this point, they have never, ever looked at the 23rd Street site. So that is something that I've wanted done for quite some time now, so I will bring a document in to our next council meeting to ensure that the police station moves forward, that we build it at one of those two.
Thank you, Alderman Goff. Alderman Montemayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Stephan, originally we had thought about adding that portion about 23rd Street. Cannot be done. We cannot do it now. I did talk with County Board Chairman Bill Gehring this week, and the option is still open that perhaps no money will exchange. He is waiting to bring it to the rest of the county board to see if the city's even interested in no money exchanging hands. So that's still there. And especially, I agree with not setting a precedent ever to sell a park. The first time I heard those words was Bill Stephan just saying that at a committee meeting. And I said, that certainly makes sense. And if we do set a precedent, who knows if some company offers us $1 million for who knows what park, will we say, well, it's all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to move along here. Alderman Serta.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not going to go to in any length in giving support for my standing the last time I vote. There's a lot of things that's been said which I'm in agreement for. But I do want it to be said that Sheridan Park, you've already won, because you were once forgotten and now you've finally gotten the recognition you deserve. But is not your soil and grass still the same if you would have a structure on it? Would you be willing to sacrifice some of your trees and possibly donate your equipment to another park in order to have a beacon of light on your property by putting a police station there to that community? I believe you would. So it is a privilege, not only as an elder person, a citizen, and a child who grew up in your neighborhood and played there, and the many individuals who I spoke to on the telephone, including the ones and some of the residents who live in the area, that I will make sure that you are never forgotten once these voices die down, and I will continue to support putting a police station there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Vanderwill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make this brief. Just want to say, I don't want to take down Sheridan Park. My kids don't want to take it down. My wife doesn't want to take it down, and my friends don't want to take it down. But that's my personal decision. And I wasn't elected to give my personal decision. I was elected to give the citizens of my district a voice. And I received many phone calls for the first time. I received many phone calls this time. So I went door to door and talked to people in the neighborhood and in my district. And the majority of them say, go put the police station on Sheridan. And that's how I'm going to vote tonight.
Thank you. Alderman Longaman, that's you.
I just have a question on the document itself. On the third whereas, it states the City Planning Commission, by a vote of 5-2, voted against using Sheridan Park to build a new police station. Was not the vote by the City Planning Commission to make no recommendation?
Correct. To make no recommendation where to go with the...
And they did not vote to rule out Sheridan Park. The vote was to make no recommendation to the council and to forward the document to the council, as I recall.
They voted both.
Right.
There's 2 votes.
There's 2 votes that night. It was vote.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just to respond to that, I did call the city clerk, I emailed, and I got that vote, and the people who voted in favor, two, yes, Alderman Werner and County Supervisor John Vanderbilt voted, and then you and the rest of the people.
Right.
So that was correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Alderman Warner. Last time.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just say, here we go again. Every time over the last 40 years, there's a better idea, another place, something else. Over and over, this isn't good enough, this is not right, we can't put it here, we can't put it there. Oh, someone comes in the way. You know, there's always another thing to do. It's easy to say you're for a new police station. Very easy. The real test is what you do to make it happen. And that's what the Building Use Committee has done, and that's what the mayor has done, a lot to make this happen. Over 80 meetings over the last 3.5 years. I've been on building use for 5 years. We paid a professional consultant over $35,000 to do a study on the location of a new police station. We spent a year from 2001 to 2002 reviewing sites, statistics, and compiling data. On June 28th in 2002, the study was completed. The number one choice was Sheridan Park. The number two choice was the Imperial Motel. The Chamber of Commerce then came along. They wanted us to look at building at the courthouse, and they spent $7,500 to study that. The study came back as unfeasible. That took another 4 months. Then the county wanted us to look at their site. We did. The consultant said we needed full access to 4 acres. The county said no. It was never the money, not 100%. Full access to 4 acres, unencumbered. The county said no. And at that time, the county was sent the letter from Kimmy and Associates, who was given an aerial of the site, who said we need access to the full 4 acres. They did look at the site. They also were apprised of the environmental study done on a county site at a cost to the city of, I forget if it was $1,500 or $3,000. That consultant was apprised of that also. And I have that study. I did not bring that with me, but we have it, an environmental study on the 23rd Street site. So then, we learned of the League of Municipalities' decision that we could use Sheridan Park. That was the consultant's number one choice. That was last June. We made that choice in building use on June 23rd, and this council did so on August 2nd. Now, if somebody doesn't like the choice again, and they want to change it after an 11-4 vote, I think that's wrong. In the dozens of building use meetings we had in the past 3+ years, Alderman Juan Perez did not attend even one. In the months of negotiations with the county, Alderman Juan Perez did not attend even one of those meetings. And that's okay. I don't really have a problem with that. But to speak as an expert in the paper with some false things, such as that they were going to give us the 4 acres, that never happened. They never even offered us the full unencumbered access to the 4 acres. To me, that's not even what this is about. What it's about is an attempt to use the media and a vocal minority to overturn a decision that was based on fact. This is about using people and untruths to change a valid and accurate decision. Those opposed to using Sheridan Park are welcome to their opinion and also welcome to express their views. But as leaders, we must always be careful of the vocal minority using its connections and activism to circumvent the best interests of this entire community. This was expressed to me by some of my friends over the weekend, that the vast silent majority believe Sheridan Park is the best choice. I agree with that position. Sheridan is the best choice for the location of a new police station. I have received many phone calls also, like everyone else has, and the majority of those believe we should turn Sheridan Park into Sheridan Station. Out of the 20 people that called me in favor of using Sheridan Park, 15 of them were from the 7th District. Out of the 13 people that called me in favor of not using Sheridan Park as a police station site, 9 of them were from the 7th District. I think I stated that earlier. We have not even completed our budget for this year, as one caller pointed out, and because taxes may have to go up, we must consider the financial consequences of this decision as well. And Sheridan will cost less now and in the future. We have done the work, we have voted, we should not change what has been done because some are unhappy, especially when the majority believe the right choice was made. For over 40 years, this has needed to be addressed. This council's decision 2 weeks ago was not only a good one, it was the right one. We should not overturn that because a minority is unhappy with it. That is not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to uphold the decision made 2 weeks ago and build a new police station in the best place possible, Sheridan Park. In your honor, I call the question.
Okay. Needs to be a second.
Hearing no other discussion. Again,
Was there a second to call?
was there a second? Okay. Hearing no other discussion, would you call the roll, please?
Would you like a description of what you're voting for?
Explain it.
An aye vote is to rescind the decision to use Sheridan Park as a police station. A nay vote is that Res 59 stands to use Sheridan Park as the police site. Is everybody clear on that? Means we stand with the last council meeting's decision to use Sheridan Park as the police site. An aye vote would be to rescind that decision and not use that. Is everybody clear?
Okay.
Okay, Alderman Serta. Graf.
Aye.
Manny.
Aye.
Montemayor.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Peterson. Sagali.
Nay.
Steffen.
Aye.
Van Akkeren.
No.
Vanderweel.
No.
Wangeman.
No.
Warner.
No.
Berg.
No.
Bonet.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 ayes, 8 noes.
Motion stands that we stay with Sheridan Park as a police station. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. Do you want to take a 5-minute break while everybody clears out? Get a drink of water? All right, 5 minutes and then be back. Sue, would you call the roll, please?
Oh, sure. Hold on. At 8:45. Berg.
Here.
Bonet.
Here.
Serta. Graf.
Here.
Manny. Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Steffen. Van Akkeren. Vanderweel. Wangeman. Warner. 14 present.
Quorum's present. 1019 through 1021 can be accepted and filed. Alderman Serta. Sorry. Your communication.
Sorry.
If you want
Move to make a motion to accept and file.
Yep.
Communication, was it?
Yes. It's 3 communications that were sent to you. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? We have a motion before us, a second. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 1022 through 1023 to be referred. 1024, by the Redevelopment Authority, recommending the city agree to release its right to purchase an easement from Blue Moon Studio. Redevelopment Authority, Alderman Steffen.
I move the resolution be put upon its passage.
It's Arrow.
All we gotta do is accept and file, Bill.
Accept and file.
Second,
Got it.
under discussion, Alderman Montiman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Accept and file means it gets referred to somebody, or accept and file means we're going to go ahead and give them the land?
Alderman Steffen.
Unless Steve wants to address it, I mean, I could give you the background.
Okay.
I guess when we...
I guess I would
Okay, you'd prefer to go ahead.
suggest that the council, if they want to approve this, accept and adopt it rather than accept and file. It is rather ambiguous, I think, when you accept the, you accept the communication, but you file it, meaning you're not going to take any action. That's generally the case.
I would change my motion to accept and adopt then.
Okay.
And regarding your question, what it was when it's along the riverfront over here, and at some point in time, we thought about, they agreed that we would be allowed to build through the building, to the bike path that's going there, because we didn't think we'd get permission from the DNR to go around it. It was too close to the river basin and stuff, but those fears have been, we're almost positive. Paulette's not here, but at the last meeting, she told us we wouldn't have to worry about that. Well, she is. Well, she can address it. She's hiding behind the cameraman, that's why. I didn't even want to start talking about it. Let Paulette explain it then.
As part of a business loan with Blue Moon Studio, they agreed to allow an easement through the building to make the last piece of the trail connection, and between it would be Erie and Pennsylvania Avenue. Since that time, it looks like they'd like to develop that portion of their building, which is the basement. And they don't have a tenant yet, but what they came before Redevelopment Authority was to ask that be released so that they could start marketing that portion of their building. We met with, Tom Holton and I met with the DNR, and it looks as if the DNR would be agreeable to some type of either like pylons or cantilever the trail to make the connection, if and when the city decides to do that. And we should be getting some type of a comfort letter back from them stating that it looks as if it's feasible. Before that, it looked as if it wasn't. They were concerned about PCBs in the river. Since that time, really the DNR has changed some of its policies, and it looks like we can work with them.
We have not received a comfort letter yet saying when we're flush with money, we can do it?
No, we haven't.
So, okay, then I want to make a motion to hold it until we get the letter.
Well, then she mentioned that on the other hand, if we don't get the letter, we can still go around the back of it. That was the plan. Because they said, they really said either tell us they're going to do it or tell us you're not going to do it. If we want to remodel the building.
It could still be done.
Right.
It's just a different path. The path will go either one way around the building or the other way, instead of through it.
If we don't get the comfort letter from them, and they say, or if we get a letter saying no, we have another option?
The option isn't preferred, but you can always, you can always find another option. We prefer to keep it as close to the existing trail as we could without going through a parking lot.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that this chunk is no trail in the future?
You could do it, but it wouldn't be the preferred route.
So we still can do the trail when we get lots of bucks?
That's true.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to address that. One thing you should consider, I think may be worth adding to this is that we get some understanding or agreement from Blue Moon Studio that they would permit that cantilever connection to the outside of their building in exchange for releasing this easement, because technically even going, the outside of their building is still their property. They've got, riparian rights along there, and so we would have to get permission to tie into their building even if it's on the outside. So I think it would be appropriate, if we're going to agree to release the right to have an easement on the inside of the building, that they agree in turn to allow us to have the right in the future to extend it on the outside of the building.
And I would like to move to hold until that is done.
Alderman Stefan?
I was going to say, if she'd rescind our motion, why don't we just refer it back to redevelopment? That didn't come up at our meeting, that we needed that easement to go around if we had that option.
Okay, we have a motion before us to refer back to Redevelopment Authority for discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 1025 through 1033 to be referred. 1034 by Alderman Stefan, attorney approving the terms and conditions of the ground lease for the Redevelopment Authority land at South Pier District. Alderman Stefan.
I would move to accept and adopt.
Is this a resolution?
Oh, pass a resolution,
Pass
okay.
a resolution, yep.
Okay. Moved and second to pass the resolution. Under discussion. Go ahead, Steve.
We're on 1034, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I did get word today that apparently and maybe Paulette can address this also, that the city engineering department did lay out a proposed site that would be the land to be ground leased. And I was told third hand by the attorney for the tenant that it's around 5,300 square feet, but so if you notice on page 2 of the document, there's some blank lines currently. I believe the approximate size is going to be around 5,300 square feet for the ground lease, and so the council is aware, the annual lease payments then are based on, I think it comes out to 50 cents a square foot is what we've agreed to as the fair market value of the ground lease rent per year for the shanty area. So just so you're aware, that'll roughly be, what's that, somewhere around $2,600 a year would be the ground lease rent. When we get the exact numbers and we get the exact legal description, they'll be inserted in here, but that's roughly what you're approving.
Any discussion? Hearing none, you need a roll? Roll call, please.
Graff. Manny. Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Steffen. Van Akkeren. Vanderweel. Wangerman. Warner. Berg. Bonet. And Serta. 14 ayes.
Motion carried. 1036 will go to strategic fiscal plan. 1037 through 1041 to be referred. 1042 by salary agreements recommending reestablishing the salary schedule for the position of mayor. Salary agreements. Alderman Van Akkeren.
Your Honor, I move the ordinance be put upon its passage.
Moved and second ordinance be put upon this passage. Under discussion. Alderman Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. I was a little unsure about voting in favor of this salary and grievance, but reflecting back on past experiences and so forth, you do quite a bit for very little. I think that even that amount does not compensate you enough, so I will vote in favor.
So were you going to raise it?
I would seriously consider that, yes.
Well, maybe we can bring it back in next month.
You want me to refer it back?
Refer it back.
Let's do it. I mean that.
Refer it back.
Make a motion to refer back to salary and grievance.
You get a second?
Sure.
And you're seriously going to discuss this? It's over here.
Salaries?
All in favor of the referral?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Roll call.
Okay, this is for referral.
Okay.
Graff.
No.
Manny. Montemayor. Perez.
Aye.
Peterson. Sagali. Aye, okay. That wasn't a coughing aye. Okay, Steffen.
No.
Van Akkeren.
No.
Vanderweel.
No.
Wangerman.
No.
Warner. Berg.
Nope.
Bonet. And Serta.
Okay, motion
4
fails,
ayes,
so let's
10
pass
noes,
it.
motion fails.
Alderman Van Akkeren.
Your Honor, can I speak on this yet?
Sure, you may.
I find it very unusual that two of them that voted against it, and one voted against it and one abstained, now they want to improve it. Before, they wanted to knock it down to no raise until 2007, they were looking at. I find that unusual that they would change their mind up on the floor.
Well, let's find out. He presses light, Alderman Perez.
Yeah, it is unusual. Why not? There's no ulterior motive. I really mean it. You take a lot of flack from the people. You do a lot of work. I've watched your salary There's people who are under you, supervised by you, evaluated by you, who make a lot more than you do. And I think people, including this council, need to recognize that. I have no problem with that.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Van Ackeren?
Your Honor, the only thing that I have a problem with is that the clerk and one other, the attorney, are both under the same thing. The raise is 1 year. And
It should be fair. It should
so
be equal.
It's equal amongst all three of you.
That's right. That's the way it should
If
be.
they want to
Equal
raise
across the
it,
board.
sorry, I have no problem, but they can do it somewhere else.
That's fine. As long as it's equal. Would you, oh, excuse me, Alderman Manny.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just point of information, I think it'd be helpful simply to note where the mayor's salary has been for this last 4 years.
It should be on there.
No,
I don't have it in front of me right now. I
this is
saw it
the,
before.
this is the new one.
This is basically for new alder people is what I'm getting at.
2005, Alderman Manny, is the same as last year. That's as much as I remember.
Right.
So it stays for next year. It's the same as this year.
You want to know the amount?
I just wanted to point out that it hasn't increased significantly. That's all I was getting at. I know that. I want to make sure new alder people know that.
They got all kinds of friends tonight. Thank you. Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Manny. Montemayor.
What are we voting on right now?
The ordinance to pass for the schedule for the mayor's.
Thank you.
Yes. And your vote is?
We're referring it back.
No.
Oh, that's right, thank you. It's a late night. Aye.
Okay. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Stefan. Van Ackeren. Vanderweel. Jumped the gun, sorry. Wangerman. Warner. Berg. Bonet. Serta. Graff. 13 ayes, 1 no.
Motion carried. 1043 will lie over. 947, resolution by Alderman Warner, entering into agreement with the Metropolitan Milwaukee Fair Housing Council, Inc., to identify the impediments to fair housing choices in the city of Sheboygan as required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Alderman Warner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move the resolution be put upon its passage.
Second. Moved and seconded, resolution be put upon its passage. Under discussion.
Under discussion, Your Honor, this is a resolution authorizing entering into an agreement with the Metropolitan Milwaukee Fair Housing Council to identify the impediments to fair housing choices in the city of Sheboygan as required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It states that the appropriate city officials are hereby authorized and directed to enter into an agreement with the Metropolitan Milwaukee Fair Housing Council to identify and implement ways to remove impediments to fair housing choices in the city of Sheboygan for the sum of $15,000. That money is covered by CDBG funds, and this is a federal requirement, and I believe it's cost being covered by community block grant money, not local property tax dollars.
Any discussion? Yes.
Only a question, perhaps Paulette can answer this. There's on paragraph 3 on payment schedule, it talks about the not to exceed $15,000, but then in brackets, it's got a question, costs separate or included, with a question mark. And I don't know if it's been clarified as to whether
That may have been, and
that
I don't
includes all the
have,
costs.
I don't have it in front of me, but that may have been just a part of discussion, and I would ask that you eliminate that. It should be a cost not to exceed $15,000, and we did try.
Period. That includes all the
We tried
costs.
to negotiate them down, and we couldn't do it.
Okay. No other discussion. Will you call the roll, please?
Manny. Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Stefan. Van Ackeren. Vanderweel. Wangerman. Warner. Berg. Bonet. Serta. Graff. 14 ayes.
Motion carried. 948 by Alderman Groff, Berg, Manny, Montemayor, transferring funds in the 2004 budget. Alderman Groff.
Your Honor, I'll move that the resolution be put upon its passage.
It's moved to second, a resolution be put upon its passage. Under discussion. Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Montemayor. Perez. Peterson. Sagali. Stefan. Aye. Van Akkeren. Aye. Vanderweel. Aye. Wangerman. Aye. Warner. Aye. Berg. Aye. Bonet. Aye. Serta. Aye. Graf.
Aye.
And Manny. 14 ayes.
Motion carried. As the night gets older, or longer, it's spicier over there. 950, by Strategic Fiscal Plan Committee, recommending accepting and filing document by the mayor, submitting a recommendation for the 2005 budget process for the general fund that would use the 2004 original budget as a base that is adjusted across the board by the net increase or decrease in the total general fund revenues and approving the mayor's recommendation. Alderman Graf.
Yeah, I move that RC be accepted and adopted.
Moved and second, RC be accepted. Go ahead.
And I was going to do the next two also.
Oh, that's fine.
Because they're all tied together.
Okay.
And that's 951, which is an RC by Strategic Fiscal Planning, recommending establishing limits for the 2005 budget and tax levy increase for the operational funds and passing the substitute resolution which establishes limits for the 2005 budget and tax levy increase in operational funds. And then the next one, which is by Strategic, recommending, requesting the mayor to submit a 2005 budget recommendation that maintains the general fund departmental budgets at the same level of appropriations as the 2004 as approved on November 24, 2003.
Okay, we have a motion before us for 950, 951, and 952 under discussion.
I just wanted to add, passing these tonight would give directions to the department heads. I believe that most department heads are probably 50 to 60% complete with their budget, and this will give them some direction so that they can submit those budgets to you and to council so that we can get started on what we need to do in order to correct everything.
Exactly. Thank you. Alderman Stefan?
I'm not opposed to this, but I just wanted to warn the council, or let them know after the debacle we had last time. As a result of passing 951, the transit, in order to keep the service where it was at and the funding they had last year, will again need approximately $45,000 from the Community Block Grant Development Fund. So I just want that to be said so everybody knows about it. It's not, if somebody comes up later on and says we didn't know about it.
Exactly.
To keep their funding, they've got to get that money from them again, just so you're aware of it.
Or the taxes. Alderman Warner?
I think I just wanted to mention too, there's a couple of concerns I have with these documents, but I'll support sending them through now. I think the council is going to have its hands full, but we may have to address some other issues that deal with these to address the actual needs of the city, and I expect strategic fiscal planning will be doing that. Thanks.
Exactly. Once we get our amount of funding in from the state, once we find out what our base is going to be for our tax levy and increases in the property tax, we'll be able to address those issues at that time.
And I would just say, Your Honor, I would just say that council can make changes to these documents anytime we want. So.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, would you call the roll, please?
Perez. Aye. Peterson. Aye. Sagali. Aye. Stefan. Aye. Van Akkeren. Aye. Vanderweel. Aye. Wangerman. Aye. Warner. Aye. Berg. Aye. Bonet. Aye. Serta. Aye. Graf. Aye. That was an aye. Aye. Manny. Aye. And Montemayor. Aye. 14 ayes.
Motion carried. 953, general ordinance by Alderman Warner creating a subsection in the municipal code exempting members of the Board of Water Commissioners owning real estate property, right? You got real property? Within the...
It's real property.
Real property, okay. Owning or operating a business within the city of Sheboygan from the residency requirements. Alderman Warner.
I thank Your Honor. I make a motion the general ordinance be put upon its passage.
We have a motion and a second before us. Under discussion?
Under discussion, Your Honor, we do this for a lot of other committees in the city, and I think this probably is a bit unique situation. As you know, Mr. Jerry Vandercreek has asked to continue serving on the Board of Water Commissioners after moving outside the city limits. At the present time, because he does live outside the city limits, he won't be able to serve at the next meeting. He can attend it as a citizen, but this ordinance will allow him to do so, and serve as on the Board of Water Commissioners. Mr. Vandercreek does own rental property in the city as well as a business, which gives him a strong tie to the city. Section 29 of the city code allows non-residents to serve on various committees and boards with some restrictions. And in this case, one would be required to own property and or a business in the city to be allowed to serve on the Board of Water Commissioners. As I said, we do this for many other committees, and it would be a good fit to allow one member of the Board of Water Commissioners to be a non-resident as long as they had met the minimum requirements. Owning property and or a business located in the city, which makes them taxpayers as well.
Thank you. Alderman Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to support the resolution. I just wanted to maybe perhaps make a suggestion and perhaps make a friendly amendment. And that would be to exempt one member as opposed to all members. That way we never are confronted with a situation where all three are from out of town. That way being now that we have, I did a little bit of poking around and I found out that a lot of our service now is about 20 to 25% is outside the community. So it's important to have outside representation in that respect. But by passing this resolution as written, we're exempting all members as opposed to one. And that could put us in a tough situation later as far as representation inside the community. So if Alderman Warner is amenable to that, I move that we amend Resolution 230405 to state an ordinance creating subsection 293B6 of the 1975 Sheboygan Municipal Code exempting one member, and then further down on subsection C to one member of the Board of Waterworks. Motion.
Alderman Warner?
Motion.
You're doing the same thing, okay.
Hey, was there a second?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Alderman Warner.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a real problem with that. When you think of it, that really was my intention anyway, and I realized that when I was reading it, because this is a unique situation, and as Alderman Perez alluded to, the city water utility does not serve just the city of Sheboygan exclusively. The water utility also provides water to other communities. In 2003, the village of Kohler purchased over 436 million gallons of water, or 9% of the utility's production. That's a lot of water. In 2003, the city of Sheboygan Falls purchased over 583 million gallons of water, or 12% of the water produced by Sheboygan. These two communities, Kohler and Sheboygan Falls, purchased over 1 billion gallons of Sheboygan water, or 21% of the utility's product in 2003. In addition, Polarware Company, which is in the town of Sheboygan, a lot of people are surprised by that, but Polarware Company is in the town of Sheboygan, and they purchased over 11 million gallons of city water. My point is simple. The Sheboygan Water Utility serves more than just the city of Sheboygan, and I believe it is reasonable to allow one non-resident to sit on the board, as long as they have strong ties to the city, such as owning property and or a business in the city. The utility is expanding its capacity. I think it serves every major employer in the area. It is in effect moving forward as a regional water utility, which is a true shared service where costs are shared equally. I believe it's important to provide partial representation for all the city customers on the Board of Water Commissioners, and I think it makes sense to allow this change, and I do support that, and it works good.
Okay. Another Alderman Stefan.
I certainly support the ordinance. I just have a question on how the amendment would work. We elect the water commissioners, but we only elect one at a time, right?
Yes.
So I guess I'd ask the city attorney, okay, we changed the rules now, and Mr. Vandercreek is the out-of-town guy now. The next time some guy says, well, I'm out of town, but I want to be the out-of-town guy. I don't know how as long as we have one, we can't elect another one. It almost be easier to just, we know what, we're not going to elect somebody from out of town. We don't have to have it as a resolution. We know what we have, and we know every year we elect one or whatever. I don't know if it'd be, how do you say, this is the guy, we've already got one, so you can't be the one, but if he gets off, then somebody else can be the one. I don't know how that would work.
I would suggest, Alderman Stefan, that if there is one member that this ordinance would apply to, that would preclude anyone else from being a non-resident. If Mr. Vandercreek resigned from the Board of Water Commissioners and then there was a vacancy and the other two currently resided in the city, then you could, under this, appoint someone who is non-resident. But I guess if the intent is to limit it to one, I kind of agree that it'd be beneficial to put that in the document. Otherwise, in theory, all the water commissioners could be non-residents as long as they own real property and owned and operated a business within the city.
Alderman Ruff?
Thank you, and I just wanted to say, when we're looking for a water commissioner, remember, the city clerk, I believe, lists in the paper what the qualifications are or what the requirements are for that position. And in some cases, it would be, when Mr. Vandercreek's term is up, it would be that they should be a resident that lives within the county or within the district, the water utility district, or something like that, rather than just a city resident.
Alderman Perez?
I pass, thank you.
Alderman Warner?
I just would say, this doesn't say we have to have a person from town. We could still have all city residents, but it would allow us to have one. I think it's reasonable.
Okay.
Vote on the amendment.
Have to vote on amendment first. All in favor of the amendment? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now on the ordinance as amended. Would you call the roll, please?
Be passed as amended.
Thank you. We have motion and second before us, as amended. I don't think you need a roll on this one, do you? Doesn't deal with funding or anything. Doesn't need a roll on this one, roll call.
No, I don't think you need a roll.
All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 10:44, we'll go to Finance and Strategic Fiscal Planning. 10:45, Salary and Grievance and Strategic Fiscal Planning. 10:46 and 10:47 can be accepted and filed. Motion.
Second.
All in favor of the motion? Motion carried. 10:48, Steve?
Roll over it.
1048 is an RO submitting communication received by the mayor from the town of Centerville regarding distributing the cost of providing liaison officers, stating that they are unable to contribute to the liaison officers, hopes that the answer may be with the school districts paying the entire costs.
Public protection and safety.
1049 is an RO submitting communication received by the mayor from the town of Wilson informing the council the town board voted at their last meeting to deny payment of the request for liaison officers as proposed.
Public protection and safety.
1050 is a communication from Cindy Herr, 3112 North 12th Street, supporting the Sheridan Park site for the new police station.
Building Use Committee.
1051 is communication from Dennis Murray, 2749 North 31st Place, agreeing with Alderman Warner's vote to build a police station at Sheridan Park.
Building Use.
1052 is communication from Bob Richards, 3919 Pineview Court, congratulating the council on making the correct choice on the site for the new police station.
Building Use.
1053 is a communication from Beverly DeCanich, 2704 Main Avenue, regarding the Sheridan Park vote.
And that would go to building use.
1054 is a communication from Frank DeCanich, same address, regarding the Sheridan Park vote.
Building use.
1055, communication from Thomas Dekanich, same address regarding the Sheridan Park vote.
Building use.
1056 is communication from Lowell and Annette Schaefer, 1303 North 27th Street, to go on record opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police station site.
Building use.
1057 is communication from Donna Gottsecker regarding safety issues between South 8th Street and South 7th Street on Georgia Avenue with regard to truck traffic.
Public protection and safety.
1058 is a communication from Lowell and Annette Schaefer opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1059 is a communication from Vicki Meyer opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1060 is communication from Bob and Jean Bynum opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1061 is a communication from Wendy Schobert opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1062 is a communication from Dan and Mary Liz Town opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1062 is a communication from David and Antoinette Mattern opposing the selection of Sheridan Park as the new police site.
Building use.
1064 is a communication from Dulcie Johnson offering some budget suggestions.
Finance and Strategic Fiscal Plan.
1065 is a communication from Robert Latree Sr. supporting Sheridan Park as the new location for the police site.
Building use.
1066 is a communication from Robert Latree Sr. regarding his concerns with Alderman Perez organizing a group to oppose the use of Sheridan Park as a new police site.
Ethics Committee. That would be law and licensing. Law and licensing, excuse me.
1067 is a communication from Robert Latree Sr. regarding the alleged reasoning for a license suspension for Dave's Who's In.
Law and licensing. We have a motion before us in a second. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Myself was, what we're thinking of is retain and create higher wage jobs, wage scales for jobs in area, prepare workers for tomorrow's economy, and provide skills for the jobs currently in your area right today. Add value to Wisconsin's economic base, tap Wisconsin's full urban potential, implement strategies at a regional level, lower regulatory burdens, and build a worldwide class infrastructure. As additional meetings are held, I hope to be able to share with you our progress in these areas. The opportunity for our state and Sheboygan in improving our workforce development initiatives is vital to our continued success. So as we go on, I will keep you informed on where we're going on this one also. But if anybody would want copies of any of this, I will make copies. I think everyone should have a copy of the Tabor bill, though. That is very important. I will get it out on your desk. Okay. Alderman Manny.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before we adjourn, I would like Rich Gebhardt to educate very quickly the population of the city about Blue Harbor. Things are coming along so well and so quickly. I would like him to comment about how expenses are coming in vis-a-vis the budget.
I don't have all the numbers with me, but in general, the draws on Blue Harbor on both the convention center and the resort have been, it's greater than 50% at this point, that they are on budget. We have contingency on the convention center. Only a minor portion has been used at this point. And basically everything generally is on schedule at this point. Wish I had numbers with me to be able to go through them in detail, but but if anybody is interested in that, certainly I'd be glad to do that.
At this point, there are no concerns.
Well, I guess we're constantly reviewing it through staff. Tom Holden especially is on the construction side with the Kramer invoices. Paulette Enders on all the other invoices. We're working as a team reviewing everything that comes in on the draws. And we have issues along the lines. Can't say that there aren't any. But we are working them out, and we reach agreement as we go along with all this. But right now, it is on schedule and within budget. We have not moved any dollars from any of the lines to other lines as the agreement calls for. We've stayed right on budget. If they spend the dollars on one line, such as for design, that's the max for that line.
Okay. Alderman Groff.
I was just wondering, I know at one point in time when we had the open house in January, I think it was, there were 57 of the 64 condos that were sold. At this point, are the rest of them sold, or?
Paulette, would you know how many are sold?
Steve?
Alderman Groff, I can address the condominium sales. When they said 57, they were talking about deposits. Mm-hmm. I've heard now a month ago there was talk that there were deposits for 72 condos, and there's only 64 being built. But those are refundable deposits. They don't equate to hard sales. Hard sales as of, I think it was about 2 weeks ago when the bank financing, M&I Bank, lent the developer the balance of the money for the second phase of the condominiums. I believe they had 43 hard sales that equated to $13.2 million worth of sales price. And originally, we were anticipating that there'd be $11 million worth of condo sales, entirely. So it's going to be closer to 20-some-odd million dollars worth of condominiums, assuming they all sell. But that was 2 weeks ago.
Great. Good to hear. Any other question? Alderman Bowman. Document 135.
We still have to act on it, Alderman Warner.
Didn't we act on it?
135, you told me we weren't going to.
Yeah, we have to file that, I believe, right, Steve? Or withdraw it. So why don't we file that?
Withdraw it. I didn't have her sign it.
Okay. Motion?
On that, Your Honor, I would make a motion to file.
Moved in second to file document 135. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moved in second to adjourn. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Lovely ladies too, but here's another one that there's just fabulous kinds of dresses, costumes.
Jewelry is just wonderful.
And if it's real silver, they have to be careful. No, that's
little silver is going to be very heavy. They can wear the whole day.
But it's just, I won't show any more, but I wanted to sort of give the viewers a chance to see what the kind of costumes there are. You have on you a costume, a vest of.
Yes.
Does it have any meaning?
Just basically, because Mon came from the farming background, so animals are things very important part of their life. And this vest basically just have a figure of all kind of animals around here. It's made by a lady from California visiting our New Year celebration, and she just said, "Would you like a vest?" And I said, "Sure, look at it." And it was so pretty, so I just said, "Okay." She only have 2 left, so
you got one.
I got one.
Yes, and it looks very nice. If you have a chance, the public is invited?
Yeah, public are invited. They're welcome to come anytime during those 3 days.
And then on Saturday, they could listen to the governor speak?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well.
You can't miss that.
Can't miss it, right? He's tall, unlike some of us. I do want to thank Cha-Sung Yang, who is the Executive Director of the Hmong Mutual Assistance Association, for joining Terry Van Akkeren and I on this week's legislative update. Thank you for coming.
I must make one correction. We have a newlywed in the band, and it happens to be one of the piccolo players, so I introduced her by the wrong name. Less than 2 weeks already. It's Amanda Lafine on piccolo. Andrew Lloyd Webber, A Symphonic Portrait, is the title of our next selection. And most of you recognize that name certainly as the tremendously successful modern-day English composer who wrote the music for many of our favorite musicals. He's the first person to have had 3 musicals running concurrently in New York and London, and that's actually a record that he achieved 3 times. In this selection, you will hear Superstar and King Herod's Song from the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina from Evita, and Memory from the very popular Cats. Please enjoy our tribute to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Thank you.